Hey guys, thank you so much for checking in today. So I've got a vlog that is specially for you. I've actually had quite a few people either email me privately or through the Freedom Project or even on my Facebook page ask me how to journal. And I have to be honest, I never actually considered that there was a how other than just writing, but now that I've actually sat down and thought about it, I realise that unless this is not something that you have just naturally been inclined to, that maybe the actual process of journaling, as a lot of us talk about, a lot of us coaches talk about, that you might actually be a little bit confused. So what I'm going to do today is actually just break down what I do to journal, my kind of little guidelines, and hopefully that'll actually help you to starting to use journaling as a way to inquire about the self, as a way to uncover and to go into the depths, as a way to analyze your shadow self, and from your shadow self be able to realize more about yourself that's able to change you, transform you, and step you forward into your life. So I guess before I go on, that's kind of what I want to drill home here, is journaling isn't really about Dear Diary sort of stuff. We're not really here just to relay the lovely things that are happening in our life, although that can be part of it. Journaling to me is a process of self-inquiry, and it is a way to get stuff out of your head and onto paper that can really help the flower of truth blossom. Yeah, so it really allows you to see what's really going on for you and to ask questions and to peel off another layer and not to just let stuff, good, bad or otherwise, pass by through your life without you actually learning something from it. But for me as well, on a very personal level, I find journaling a form of creativity, a form of experimentation with words and language, and just a beautiful way to sit in myself, to be in my center and actually just express. And nobody ever sees my journal, so it's just about me and what's going on for me. Okay, so I'm going to take you through a couple of things. So I guess the first thing that I do in the morning is gratitude journaling. Gratitude journaling is a really, really simple practice where I start by writing down everything that I'm grateful for, usually from the day before. So it's kind of a reflection process. And I try and go big picture, and then I try and go micro. So sometimes there are really big things that have happened in my life and I feel like talking about them. And other things are just small, like I'm grateful for fresh running water, or I'm grateful that the sun came out. So the gratitude journal process is a way for me to reconnect to the beauty that's in my life. And it's not that my life is any more beautiful than anyone else's. It's not. It's just my way of being grateful for what I've got in that moment. Now what I find happens from gratitude journaling is little nuggets start to pop up, little golden nuggets. Sometimes they're dark and sinister, but either way there are like these little bubbles of ideas that start to form. And it could be a remembering process from the day before. Say there was an issue or a moment of discomfort, or something happened with a friend or a client or whatever it is. And those little nuggets kind of allow me to go, you know, I still sort of feel something on that. I think I'm going to start to explore that through journaling. So then what I do is I start to maybe just write down what it is that has come up. Just a little bit of detail there so that I can drill into it a bit more. And then the questions will start to form, or at least I'll start to write down questions in order for me to answer and explore and peel off some layers. So let's just use an example here. Just say there is a situation, you know, I've had a bit of a uncomfortable situation with a friend via email or something. And email's always a confusing one, isn't it? You don't really know what that person's saying, and communication is obviously a little bit, you know, confused. It's not quite clear cut all the time. So just say that in a journaling experience this has come up and I've remembered, oh, I felt really uncomfortable in that moment. I felt really unsure what was going on. I might start to ask some questions like, Claire, how are you feeling in that moment? What are the emotions specifically that came up for you? Why do you think this triggered you so much? What do you think this trigger really represents? What, if there is one, is the reflection for you? What can I see in myself from that situation that came up? So these are just some examples of some of the questions that I might ask myself. And often I will start with just, how am I feeling about this? Why am I feeling this? Why is this emotion in my body? Why am I carrying this? So I guess that's kind of like the second state that I go into. And then I start to move a little further from that. Maybe I'm asking a bit more questions and I'm trying to dive in a little bit further as to, you know, why were my buttons pushed in this situation, and then how often does this happen to me? Is this a pattern? Is this something that's actually a lesson that's been knocking on my door for a while and I haven't paid attention? Other times, it's just simply that I need to download. I need to have one of those raw, unadulterated, uncensored, not being nice moments and actually just let out on a piece of paper what horrible, ugly ego emotions are actually in there. And you've probably heard about me talk about this before, which is, you know, you kind of can't disrespect the ego entirely. Yeah, it'd be better if we didn't have it, but we don't. And it's always going to be there. And it's actually serving you. It's actually providing insight. But you also have to just pay homage to the stuff that comes up from the ego every now and then. Let it out, and then be compassionate with yourself and go forward. So I sort of see journaling as being able to facilitate that process. Now, another thing that I like to do with journaling is sometimes create a little bit more structure around what I want to explore. And that could simply be, just say I know, for example, that in my work life there's some shifts going on, or there's some confusion, or maybe I'm feeling frustrated. So I might sit down and, you know, write at the top of my diary work or career or love or friendships, whatever it is that I'm talking about. And then I'll start to write in detail what I'm feeling, and then I'll start to explore through questions from that point. And I find the questions are really powerful. Some people think, oh yeah, I'm asking that stuff to, you know, in my head and I'm kind of working through it. But I find that moment when I write the question down on a piece of paper, I take a moment, I take a deep breath, and then I let it all go, and then I allow the answer to start to move through me. I find that is a bigger, deeper, more profound process than just trying to think about it in my head. So I don't know about you, but I can think about 90,000 things at the same time, simultaneously. And I can get up into my head like it's nobody's business. So for me, on paper, there's a lot of clarity and there's space between those thoughts. There's integrity through those thoughts. There's authenticity, there's truth, there's insight. So for me, journaling is a really powerful mirror back onto myself. A really powerful mirror that allows me to love myself in the process whilst I'm looking at the shadow, which is really, really important, which is really ultimately what we're trying to do here. So that kind of is it in terms of journaling. I'm sure that there are thousands of other ways of journaling. Ultimately, what it comes down to is your own intuition guiding you. You feeling your way through the process. It's not so much that it has to be structured, and it's not so much that there is a right or wrong way, but what it is personal. It is a process for you, and it is a process that I highly recommend. And I know my Freedom Project members, if they're listening to this right now, would be thinking, yep, Claire goes on and on and on about journaling all the time. And it's the one thing that I do drill home about. Sit down, take a pen, get some paper, write down what's going on, explore and ask questions. Okay, so thank you so much for sticking around and watching this video. I would love to hear about how you journal, if you do, or I would love to hear about any fears or concerns that you might have around journaling if you've never explored it. If you have any other questions about the process, I'm sure I've missed something, so feel free to comment in the box below and just let me know what those questions are so that I can get back to you and drill down a little deeper if need be. Okay, thank you so much for listening. As always, such a pleasure to chat to you guys, and I look forward to the next time we can connect. Okay, bye.